4, 3, 2. Thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel. This is number 2 in our series of interviews with foreigners in the Philippines doing showbiz. Today, my guest is the one, the only, Nicholas Fowler, Nico Locco. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, guys? I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, Nico, you're finally back in the Philippines. Amazing.
Yes.
How long were you back there in Canada for?
I was in Canada for mga 1 year. I only planned on going back for 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks turned into 1 year just because of the pandemic. So it was an interesting experience. It was very unplanned, but I tried to make the most of it for sure.
Do you think did you have to cancel a lot of work when you realized you weren't being allowed to come back?
Oh yeah, a lot. That was, I think, one of the hardest parts. Because Manila went on a lockdown there, I think around March 20th. Mm-hmm. I left March 19th. I actually took the last flight going out of Manila. So I was like, okay, I got pretty lucky. And then I was like, I'm only going to stay for 3 weeks in Canada and then come back. And then sure enough, they locked down the border to all foreigners. They were only letting, I think, OFWs back at the time with strict documentation. So it was a little bit stressful. And then Manila went on a lockdown, and then they started to ease up on the restrictions. And then I was starting to get kind of antsy because that's when projects were starting and people were making inquiries. But I'm like, I can't come back. I'm in Canada, and it's impossible for me to enter the Philippines. So that was kind of frustrating and actually a little bit, I think it created some anxiety from my standpoint, just because there was nothing that I could do. And I think that was the most frustrating part.
Yeah, it's super scary. The last guest I had, he had to cancel 50 hosting brackets, and I had to cancel a dozen or so myself. It was like the apocalypse, I swear. And you have these projects lined up, movies or whatever, and then they're taken away, and you have no idea if they'll come back, if what the landscape is even going to look like. So that's pretty cool that you managed to, sort of wait that out. Just kind of, I was watching some of your Instagram stories. You were just kind of focused on, you were focused on the prize. I realized you're staying creative, you're staying fit, and all of that. So that leads me sort of into the opening question I really want to ask you about. You started doing showbiz and modeling and everything in the Philippines, I feel maybe just a few months before I came out here and I started doing it myself. Can you?
Yeah, similar time. I think similar timeline we have. If we look back at it, right, when we first met.
Yeah, for everybody that doesn't know, I'm not exactly sure where we met, but I remember maybe it was that one racket where
it was bench, right? Oh no, it was the basketball racket. Yeah. Basketball.
We were supposed to do a commercial or something for the Mormons, and
that's right.
You had that other racket that you really wanted to get to. I never even saw the commercial.
And I left.
Anyways, so you get in here to the Philippines, kind of walk the viewers and tell us a little bit about how you managed to get started in modeling and acting in the first place, and then why did you choose the Philippines as your launch pad?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's an extremely long story, and a story that would take 2 hours to explain every detail, but I'll make it short. Cool. I was into modeling and acting ever since I was younger. I started acting actually was my first passion. I started that when I was 17. My family is kind of into showbiz in North America, so that was kind of my starting point. And then, yeah, so I was doing acting in the U.S. and Canada for around 5 years, and then that's when modeling started. And what took me out to Asia? I'm trying to think now. It's so far back. I'm making it sound like I'm like 45 years old now, and it's history.
Was it like the circuit? You just wanted to come out and do like the Asian circuit? I know a lot of models do that.
Oh, I got it now. It wasn't actually, I didn't come out to Asia for modeling itself. I actually came to Asia for a film. It was an international film I did when I was 22 years old. 22 years old. It was in South Korea and Indonesia. That was the two locations that it shot. And anyways, I did that film. It was about 6 months. Wow. And then during that time, I started doing some more modeling, commercials, hosting. That's when I started doing emceeing and even a little bit of DJing. So that was originally what brought me out to Asia. And then it sort of just snowballed from there.
Yeah.
I started getting more rackets in Indonesia. That's where I was based at the time. And then I'm connecting this back how I came to the Philippines, right? So eventually I had one concert that was sort of an Asia-wide concert where artists from all over Asia came to this concert. So there was a representative from each country: Malaysia, Singapore, South Korea, Vietnam, Philippines. The representative for the Philippines was Nadine Lustre.
Okay.
So Nadine came to the concert. I met Nadine for the concert that I was hosting. We became good friends.
Yeah.
And got each other's contact, became friends on Instagram. And then actually, eventually, she invited me to the Philippines for one project. It was a music video. It's called Stay Up, which happened 2017, which is kind of around when we met. I believe we met near the end of 2000, right? I think near the end of 2017. Yeah, that's right. So I came for that project. It was shot in Subic for 6 days, and I ended up going back to Indonesia for the time being. And then that music video came out. I ended up getting a lot more opportunities here in the Philippines. So I was like, I said to myself in that point, I might as well just come back here and give it a try. I really liked the Philippines. I loved the people. I loved the food. I loved the whole culture.
Yeah.
So I came back. I said to myself, let's do it for 2 or 3 months. 2 or 3 months turned into 4 years, and here we are doing this interview.
Yeah. And here we are in 2021, and you're still pushing projects out. It's actually really interesting. This one, I'm doing a new endorsement that's for a company that's coming out, and one of the people that I'm doing this endorsement project with, actually, every time I mention foreigners that are out here actively working, for some reason, your name inevitably comes up. I don't know if you're like the king of foreigners doing work out here or what exactly it is. Maybe it's just because you've done it for so long. What has been, aside from the Philippines, what do you think your favorite country to do work in has been so far, even including like Canada or the US?
In terms of acting and modeling?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Every market has its own challenges. I'll start with North America. In Canada and the US, I love working in the US, especially when I first started, although extremely competitive, as you can imagine, in Los Angeles. But just the thrill of it. I mean, being in Hollywood, being in Los Angeles among the stars, it has its own thrill, I must say. And competing against extremely talented actors was very motivational for me. And I said to myself in that point at a young age, I'm like, I gotta keep pushing. I gotta keep grinding. I'm not even close to where I want to be, because I was looking up at these guys that were amazing in front of the camera. Sorry. So that was my starting point. Extremely competitive in North America. I love working in Canada. I was able to do a film actually during the pandemic in Vancouver, and an amazing experience working with Canadians. And they have a great film hub in Vancouver. It's actually,
I've heard a lot of good things about Canadian film, and they have a lot of sound stages out there, and they even do a lot of Hollywood stuff out there too now.
Totally. And Hollywood's starting to move out there, I think, just because of the COVID issue that was starting in the US. And Netflix is starting in Vancouver. It's exploding pretty much. And then when I came to Asia, a totally different ball game. I must say, like, everything is different in terms of the acting style, what they're looking for, the types of films that they're creating, the shows that they show on TV. So it was an adjustment period for me, just as an actor. I really had to sit down and realize, okay, what does the market want here? How can I find a niche here in the Philippines? That was the biggest challenge. But now that I've been here for 4 years, I've really had the time to understand what the market is looking for and how I can find my place here as an actor and as a model. So it's been a great experience. I couldn't say which one is better. I think each one is unique for their own reasons.
That's a good way to put it. Everybody's kind of looking for something different, no matter what place you're trying to work. So I think you hit the nail on the head. I do kind of want to backtrack a little bit because, this pandemic has really sort of taken everybody's careers for the craziest turns. It sounds like, based on what you've told us, that you're probably in a better position than a lot of people to do this sort of work. I'm sure that a lot of people that have come out and they've tried to do what we're doing, and they just can't get enough work to make it sustainable. So you've seen all these people come through. What type of advice would you give to somebody that's, say, they're here in the Philippines, they're trying to get into modeling, they're trying to get into acting, and they have 3 minutes to talk with you? What do you want to say to them?
The first thing I would say is find your edge. Is you need to look at yourself in the mirror. Don't compare yourself to others, but really look at yourself as a person and as a talent, and try to understand what you can offer the industry here in a unique way. Because at the end of the day, for us to get to the top or to be an A-lister here in the Philippines, we have to be unique in some sort of way. So find your edge, number one. Number two is branding. You have to brand yourself properly. Nowadays, social media is freaking huge, especially after the pandemic. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We have so many platforms that we can brand, or we can advertise ourselves, for free. So take advantage of that and try to find, again, a branding approach that will put you above others, allow you to stand out. That would be my 2 points of advice if I had 3 minutes with someone.
It seems like a lot of people, they may overestimate their abilities as well. So I think it's kind of hard for someone to be told, like, hey, maybe this industry isn't exactly for you. And
that's the thing too. It's like, it's true. You're right. And I think with social media as well, we're always comparing ourselves to other people, right?
Yeah.
And we might have someone that we look up to, or that we might see ourselves in, right? And I think we're desperately always trying to achieve that, when we forget about making sure that we've gone through training. If we want to be an actor, we have to go through workshops. You need to do that. You can't just wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be an actor. I want to be a model. Well, have you taken care of your body? Have you taken care of your skin? Are you fit to be a model? Are you trained to be an actor? These are things that we need to have before we even should consider wanting to be a personality in showbiz.
That's a really good point.
Right?
We wouldn't tell people to just go become a carpenter or a teacher.
Exactly.
No prior training, or there's some prerequisites to becoming an actor and or a model. A lot of people just need to either work on them or they don't have them. So that actually, just a quick question for you. What do you prefer? Do you prefer acting or modeling?
I went through phases, hey, because it's a really hard question because I started off in acting. I got tired of it. It was an extremely toxic atmosphere for me, especially in Los Angeles. I said to myself, I'm never going to act again. I don't want to be a part of this industry. I absolutely hate it. And then that's when I started doing modeling. I said, okay, this is different. It's a lot more simple. I know what's expected of me. I need to take care of my body. I need to take care of my skin. And yeah, it was great. It was very chill. I enjoyed it. And then that hunger of acting started coming back.
Yeah.
And I have zero regrets going back into acting. And I think sitting here now in this conversation with you, I'd have to say acting. Yeah. Just because intellectually, I feel more stimulated. I feel like I can bring more to the table.
I think you're right. I think acting is much more. It's okay. I think acting is just much more fulfilling in terms of work. Although modeling does pay really well, I think acting is just it just gives you a greater sense of satisfaction when you're finished with the project. You can look at what you've done and what you've accomplished, and you can also sort of see like, okay, I'm doing pretty good with this, but I could work on this. And in modeling, you may not have such like an ability to scrutinize yourself.
Yeah. And I'm sure you can agree that it's nice to have different avenues of income. Yeah. And modeling, acting, hosting, they all go hand in hand, right? So I really think anybody in this industry shouldn't close themselves to those avenues of income, because you can make money doing all of them at the same time. That's the beauty of it, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so we're almost done here. I got two more questions for you. One is going to be really hard hitting. How's your Tagalog gotten? Has it gotten a lot better?
My Tagalog has gotten a lot better, although it needs a lot of work.
Oh, no, dude, mine does too. It's ridiculous.
As you know, it's a work in progress. I mean, I'm learning every day. They find it something cute, that I'm learning. Yeah, they find it cute. I mean, as you know, there's always something that isn't pronounced properly. Right. Is confused with the sounds or whatever. I mean, we both have American Tagalog, and I think people love it. Would I like it to get a lot better? Yes, but as we both know, it's a work in progress, and I think it's impossible to learn the language in 6 months. It takes just time. Yeah. I
feel your struggle, especially since we both learned as adults and we didn't grow up around the language. It makes it a lot more difficult to have that sort of native fluency. Okay. So the last question I have for you, thank you so much for sticking around with me, by the way.
My pleasure, brother. My pleasure.
Just tell us a little bit about the projects that you've got coming up, and please let us know your social media. Give us a sense of like where we can find you, and what we can be excited about from you next.
Yeah, so I've got a lot of projects on the go. I finished just a mini series in Mindoro for the last 2 weeks. That's going to be found on TV somewhere. I'm not too sure where, as well as YouTube and Facebook. Just keep an eye on it on my social media. As well, I've got 2 period films coming up that have been unfortunately postponed because of the ongoing ECQ and restrictions. Hopefully, they will continue. Let's see, depending on the restrictions. But it looks like GCQ is going to be a lot less strict. So those will be coming in June. And then I will have something coming up with TV5. I can't release it yet because my pen hasn't hit the paper yet. So I'll just keep it quiet.
I know.
And stuff. And I just finished a Jollibee commercial. Well, I shouldn't say the name. But I finished a Jollibee.
With a star.
Just cut that out.
Don't worry. I'll totally put like a bleep or something, but I know exactly who you said. I know exactly who you
okay, I didn't even say the first name. But yeah, I just finished a Jollibee commercial that I'm really excited about. I've never done Jollibee before, and it's always been a goal of mine just because everybody loves Jollibee.
It's one of the big
I just finished, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I just finished that. It was a 3-day shoot, so I'm really excited. I'm sure it'll be out in June sometime.
Cool.
And you guys can also follow me on my Instagram at Akaposi Nico. What else? Facebook, Nico Locco. Twitter, Akaposi Locco, as well as my YouTube channel, which is under construction, Nico Locco. Yeah. Thanks for having me, brother. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, my lasting advice for everybody watching this is find peace in what you cannot change. That's my mantra actually right now. It's been my mantra during the whole pandemic, to be honest, is there's a lot of things that are out of our control and we can't change them. It's just the way it is right now. It's just the way the world is, the way life is. So find peace in the things that you can't change. This is the life that we have to live right now. So make the most of it, make the best of it, and try to find ways to succeed and get above the competition.
Well, that was well spoken. Thank you so much, Nico. Stick around right after this interview. After I finish recording, want to ask you just a couple more questions. But everybody, please, I have Nico Locco's information linked down in the description box below. So please, everybody, support him, support what he's doing. And yeah, thank you so much, Nico. Have a good one.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Ingat.
All right.